My name is Muhammad Ghouse bin Nasaruddin. I'm from Penang and I teach at the University Science Malaysia in Penang itself. And I've been involved in various research on culture and on dance, music, theatre. And now the latest one is on healing. And today we are going to explore a bit on what is meant by traditional healing. You know, we all know that healing is part of the human psychic, human physiology. It's an integral part of healing. Because with healing, its counterpart is illness. So you have illness, you must have healing. So everything in our existence have the opposite, like even in creatures and men. Mammals, including humans, they have evolved healing practices to address a host of maladies. And if you look at the creatures, the animals, the healing process is instinctive. It is, there's no need to think about going to see the doctor, whatever it is, because there's an element in their own DNA that directs them to various rocks, leaves, barks, water to effect healing. Today we are concerning ourselves with traditional healing for humans. You know, before the advent of clinical medicine, like what you are going to see the doctor now, we have what we call traditional healing, or people refer it as anthropological healing, that uses various facets of cultural belief and to address these kind of problems. Traditional healing was the main form of healthcare before the advent of clinical medicine. And we can categorize it into three sections. One is the using of herbal application, herbal pharmacology, using roots, leaves and barks which are pounded into concoction to be used externally or to be taken orally. Second one is tactile. There is massage, different form of massage that realign the body and the muscle to relax the muscle. And the third one is the ritual healing. We're using elements of performance. We call it performance healing, such as in the form of performance that employ music, movement, and drama to effect various energy transfer and to stimulate the transfer, the internal healing mechanism. And if you look at it, traditional healing is fast disappearing because with modern clinical medicine, they have become outmoded in the sense, and it is only found in the rural areas. And forms of traditional healings are in the form of performance, main petri in Kelantan, main bageh, even in wayang kulit, also Sarawak Emuka, Babayo, and Kuda Kepang. These are all performances embed themselves with traditional healing element. Traditional healing, the illness that they address, they are usually, it is not the kind of modern type of illness like you go heart surgery or orthopedic. They address what we call psychosomatic illness. That is, it has to do with your mental aberration. That is when it affects your behavioral pattern rather. Culturally, it is believed that the environment has an effect on the people. We think ourselves, we don't environment, but if you stay in the rural areas, the mountains, the rivers, the jungle, the forest, all have a therapeutic aspect, and culturally they believe that this natural entity are governed by spiritual presence, and this spiritual presence will affect well-being of the community. So this is the belief. So to address these things, sometimes you find people have mental aberration because they went out to pick up something and they come back, they lose their mind, or they go into a coma, which modern medical science can't explain. And for this kind of maladies, they use performance healing to address. And performance healing is also to relieve stress. If you have social or marital problems, they apply this thing using mind puteri, mind bagi, But the main thing here is, in performance healing, it is the use of performance elements, dance, music, and mantra, and also the dialogue of a play like Dewa Muda in Mat Yong. These elements are external stimuli. They affect the patient, who believes that through these elements they will be cured. And the important thing in this healing ceremony is the shaman or the bomo. He will undertake various actions involving singing, movement, and narration of dialogue to affect the patient and to stimulate the patient so that the patient will believe he is being cured. This is called faith healing. And the patient trusts the shaman that the shaman will be able to cure him or her. And through this process, the person activates his own internal healing energy. In Kelantan, they call it the angin. The angin is some people call it the yin and yang. It's the balance and imbalance of your energy. So when the energy is imbalanced, then your psychic energy creates a lot of stress and tension. And that will affect your behavioral pattern. And you will get aches all over the body. And a lot of things. It's the mind play that affects your physiological expression and action. So by believing in that and realigning your energy, the shaman's auto-suggestion, it helps them relieve the stress. If you look music, what we call sonic orders, these are vibration. The vibration will affect the brain waves. It will activate the brain waves pattern, alpha, beta, gamma waves, that will release energy, emotional energy, to give a feel-good feeling, and so on. The other thing, it will also activate the pharmacy of the brain to controlled release of endocrine, dopamine, opioid, and other chemicals that act as a painkiller, also act as a muscle relaxant. So you feel good. So these are the elements that goes through the performance. This is a very intricate and a complex one that involves spirits and so on, but it has a scientific basis, which I just explained to you. It affects, if you test it, saliva test, blood test, and so on, you will find the presence of these chemical elements released by the brain. Anthropological medicine or traditional healing is fast losing its relevancy, because now clinical medicine has taken over. That is heart surgery and so on and so forth. But you see, clinical medicine address only parts of the body. You have pain, you have kidney problem, prostate problem, heart problem, knee problem. Whereas traditional healing address the body, the mind, and the soul. But nowadays, because clinical medicine has become very complex and address every single part of your body, when in actual fact, the mind and your thinking of yourself, your physical and psychic self will affect your well-being. And for the old people, they still resort to traditional healing, but it's fast being phased out, and by now has been replaced by clinical medicine, which is the standard form of healthcare in our modern world. So having said that it is fast disappearing and take over clinical medicine, but there are people who resort to this form of traditional healing, and one of which is mind puteri. I will deliberate slightly on mind puteri. Mind puteri is a form of performance healing that is found mainly in Kelantan. It is part of the overall Mak Yong performance. It employs the performance elements of Mak Yong, that is dance, music and the dialogue. The music which I mentioned acts as a stimulant, consists of a traditional orchestra. That is, it is the main melodic instrument is the rebab. That plays the melodic instrument and accompanies the singing, while the rhythmic pattern is provided by drums, or we call it the membraphone category, and the gongs, the idiophone category. So the drums are the gendang, gedo and the gedombak, but normally it's only the gendang is used. And the gongs are vertical gong, two vertical gong. Sometimes they use canang and kesi. And at the same time, for healing, they use surunai. The surunai, which is a pipe, an oboe-like instrument that plays the melody. So this performance, they employ the performance elements of Mak Yong, like dance, music, and drama. Talked about the musical instrument. They provide the music for the singing as well as a stimulus to the patient, because the music will affect them. Then you have the dance. The dance movements are usually performed by the shaman. In this case, there are two people are very important that will conduct the healing ceremony: the Tok Mindo and the Tok Puteri. The Tok Mindo is the rebab player, whereas the Tok Puteri is the shaman. So these two will interact to identify the illness. So they have first the diagnostic process where they identify the illness. Tok Mindo playing the rebab and singing the arias, and the Tok Puteri will join in and he will go into a trance. A trance is an elevated state of awareness. And through the trance, he will move through various spirits, trying to identify the spirit that is responsible for the illness. And having detected the spirit and identifies its presence, he will then bargain with the spirit so as to release the patient from the clutch of maladies. Having come to an agreement, either through making offerings or not, then the curing session will start, the second part. That is through the dance and movement, and later on through some pharmacological intervention. And usually the patients, they have very, very interesting cases where you find a patient who can't even walk, but after the ritualistic ceremony, they got up and they danced. So, about Mind Puteri. Mind Puteri here, it is one of the main form of traditional healing in Kelantan. It is usually used, and it is patronized usually by the older people. Besides, in Mind Puteri, the most important thing is the belief of the patient in the ability of the shaman to cure him. This healing is what we call cultural specific. It only happens, it only activates the healing energy, and is effective if you are from that culture. If you try to do the healing from somebody outside the culture, an urban person who do not believe in all these things, then it will not have any effect. That's why, besides being called anthropological medicine, traditional healing, it is also called faith healing. The trance state, which is an elevated state of awareness, there are two levels, two types of trance state. One is possession trance, where they believe that the Bomo is inhabited, taken over by a spirit. So his behavioral makeup, his behavioral pattern will resemble the spirit. If it's the spirit of a tiger, he will move like a tiger. If it's the spirit of a snake, he'll move like a snake. If it's the spirit of Mak Yong, he will sing and speak dialogue with the Mak Yong. For example, you have Mak Rimau besar sejang kilat sejala wangi. Or he will sing the aria Menghadap Rebab or Saudara. These are the songs. So he will be lost into a different character. He is what we call possessed. But trance also is used in modern medicine to activate the subconscious mind, to activate the healing energy. So there's a connection, a different kind of stimulus. The other type of trance state, it is called the reduction of consciousness of trance, as in the Dabus dance performance. Here, you can isolate different parts of the body, and these parts become insensitive to any pain. You can prick the hands, the legs, and they do not feel any pain at all. These are the reduction of consciousness trance that is also associate different parts of the body. This type of trance. But for the performance healing, it is used, the main form of trance is possession trance. But the possession trance have various degrees of awareness. One is you are completely lost into a different kind of reality. Will be beyond the physical laws that applies. The other things are between consciousness and unconsciousness. This will give the ability for the shaman to range through the various levels of trance. And in conclusion, this dance, performance healing, anthropological medicine or faith healing will soon become museum pieces. As modern medicine takes over digital world where diagnostic is carried out, for example, through your handphone only. You don't need to go through to see the doctor. The handphone will diagnose you. You will apps for that. So performance healing will become redundant and anachronistic. Nevertheless, it is a part of our heritage that it was the main form of healthcare then. And do not discount it just like that. It has scientific basis. Perhaps we need to do more research to see how, to see the connection, the link between traditional medicine and modern clinical medicine. Thank you.